this project is called 100 out of 100, and in this project, I painted 100 portraits from direct observation of residents of the Hebrew home at Riverdale. So the way I work is I sit down with the subject very close to me. They're about 16 inches away to 2 feet, and I'm working with the image flat so they can see everything that's going on. And it's a very intimate thing. I use a camera lucida to draw them. That's a device from the Renaissance, a prism on a stick that lets you just get the outlines very quickly. It doesn't actually make art, and it doesn't actually give you much of a drawing, but it covers the page and you just get the proportions. So once I get the drawing on the page, I encourage the subject to talk. And it's through these conversations that I develop the psychological content of the painting. And this was a particularly interesting situation to apply that method because people had very different stories than I'm used to hearing, not just because of their age, but because of trauma that they'd been through, experiences. Among the things I noticed is that joy is not directly in proportion. The level of joy and the level of pain and loss is not in proportion. There were some people who had unbelievable amounts of loss, and they had the capacity for pleasure and happiness. And there were people who seemed to have very minor problems, to me, that seemed incredibly bitter. And that's an important thing, I think, to know, because it tells you that you can weather terrible experiences, and everybody will. We're all gonna have horrible experience, that's a guarantee. People will die, I painted blind people. Can you imagine that? If you're an artist, being deaf people who couldn't move their hands, you could still be happy. You could find a way to experience happiness, and that happiness is genuine. And so that was really interesting to me and important. There was one woman who was really touching. It was really special for me. She was blind, and she wanted me to tell her what I was doing as I was doing it. Like, now I'm painting the red, and she was imagining it. That was really moving also. And then with people who had really severe Alzheimer's disease and couldn't talk, I noticed in several cases that they would watch the brushes and watch the color. And when I would pick up color, they would look on their body to see where that color was. One particular person had a slight blue line on his Argyle sweater, and mostly it was a gray sweater. So I guess he was thinking, I'm wearing a gray sweater. And then I picked up this blue to put the blue line on, and I saw him look alarmed, look at his sweater, see the blue, and see this kind of relief and calm come over him. And I thought that was our communication. It was about, he began to trust me. The blue made him feel anxious. He saw it, and then we had another level for the rest of the painting because we had been through this thing with the blue. So different new forms of communication were developed to address the ability of the subject. A lot of the people I painted were in wheelchairs, and at first we were trying to get them out of the wheelchairs so I could get closer to them because the wheelchairs took up space. And then I figured I could start to approach them from the side. And then I started painting the wheelchairs because it becomes part of what you see. And that's something I hadn't done before. I don't usually paint furniture in these portraits, but I felt that the wheelchair was part of the whole person, how they were presenting themselves, and I started painting it. In the beginning, when I first started painting people, I tried to have them conform to other portraits I had done, and then I started realizing that I needed to paint what I saw, and what I saw wasn't what I was used to seeing. And it's kind of like I had to make a different checklist. In a watercolor, you can only do so much. It's a very quick painting. So really, like in an oil painting, you can paint 1,000 different things on a face. In a watercolor, in 45 minutes, I've got to pick 7 or 8 things because it's really, it's in a way, it's their essence that you're painting. And so my checklist in my mind of what I was looking at became different. What I needed to see to get a likeness became different. You know, when I paint people, I really do become very close to them, and I love them. And one of the sad things about this project is people are old and they aren't going to be around. We can't take for granted that they're going to be around. We've already lost one of our subjects, and it's just 2 weeks in, and I find that really hard to deal with. This project is part of an ongoing project called the Itinerant Portraitist, and each population is a chapter. And in each chapter, I try to learn something new as an artist. I pick a population where I think I can learn something. So an earlier chapter was in Taiwan with Aboriginal people, where I was trying to learn about a gaze that was outside of mainstream society. And in this project, I was trying to confront aging, the thing that we don't want to think about, and my own relationship with death, and what are the important things for leading a happy life. I thought by studying people and painting people who are still 40 years older than me, believe it or not, I would learn, it would give me cues on how to conduct the rest of my life, the next 40 years, so that I could be one of the lucky people who is alive at this age and happy. Because I did notice great joy in the population that was 100, and the capacity for joy, and I would like to have access to that.